Okay, that's the music part of this Father Moo video. What is this? This is what hunters use to call deer or buffalo or something. I don't know exactly what animal it's for. I like to collect these bird calls and animal calls and use them in my improvised ambient music. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. That was just a dramatic opening scene to catch the viewer's attention. What I want to talk about today is not music philosophy and not synth programming. I want to just briefly talk about an experience I had, and I'm going to do it fast, short, and simple. Some of you may say, Father Moo, we've heard this stuff from other people before. That is fine. I'm trying to explain it in the context of who I am, which is a guy with a job and also a guy with a hobby of making music with synthesizers and bird calls for some reason, because I think I'm cool and quirky. Here's what it is. I started a new full-time job. As part of that job, there were many things I thought I knew how to do well, or things I was planning to learn by watching YouTube tutorial videos. But in the end, I ended up using AI to do them instead. Yes, the dreaded two letters of our age, AI, that is what I'm going to talk about today. So I think you all already know there's apps out there where you can generate an entire piece of music, and people have already done this and made like fake bands, taken fake pictures and uploaded these fake bands and gotten on the charts, and I'm not interested in that. Screw that. I make music with my crappy hardware synthesizers and my bird calls, and I like it that way. But this is what I did different. As part of my job, I was using AI for multiple different things, and one of the things I did was I was asked to make a spreadsheet in Excel with some functions I didn't understand, and someone sent me a screenshot of what it should look like. So I just loaded the screenshot into the one I use is Google Gemini, which is free for many things. And I said, look, Gemini, I need to turn this into an Excel file, and everything you see on the screen I want to be exactly duplicated. And if you see a little drop down, there will be some options on the sample screenshot. The project might be status in progress, status completed, status canceled, or whatever, and you choose a drop down option from the box. And very quickly, Gemini was able to shoot out a working Excel file that I loaded into Google Sheets or whatever it's called, and I did have to make some corrections, like when it gave me the drop-down options I asked for, but they were all red, and I wanted red to be for not started yet, or yellow to be in progress, and green for completed or whatever. And I had to talk to it and get it and revise that spreadsheet. But it only took me 4 revisions before I got from uploading an image, not even an Excel file, and a screenshot of an Excel file, to producing a working Excel file with functions that I literally do not know how to do myself in Excel. I never learned Excel when I was in high school. We were still learning like typing, like Mavis Beacon speed typing on like pre-Windows computers. So I just picked it up as I went along. This gave me an idea. Because I had uploaded the image, what I did when I went home from work that day was I went on Google Gemini on my home computer, like the one I'm recording this on right now, and I took a screenshot of a Doepfer starter system, which is a big gray box, a modular synth that's been around since the beginning of Eurorack, literally. And I uploaded this image and I said, I want you to turn this into a synth I can play in my browser like a VST, and every button or knob or cable port that you see in the screenshot in the image, I want you to duplicate. And it took it like 5 minutes to do that. Now, I have to say, the first version was almost completely broken. Like, you could patch the patch cables and the oscillators made sound, but if you ran an oscillator into a filter, it would run into the in and the out would run into the output, but the filter didn't actually remove any sound when you twisted the little virtual knob. So I spent about 4 hours at home just revising it. Each version I would say, okay, the filter doesn't work, so make it work. It should be a low-pass filter. And Gemini did that, and I tested the filter was working, but now something else wasn't working. The ring modulator was functioning like a mixer rather than a ring modulator. So I think it's important here, number one, your first version is never going to be that good and you have to revise it. And number two, the only way I could revise it is that I know what a filter should sound like. I know what a ring modulator should sound like. I'm not some kind of synth genius, Richard Devine type of guy. I'm just Father Moo, but I do know what those things sound like. So I wouldn't have been, if you're sitting there at home saying, wow, I'd like to do that. Well, if you've never used that modular system, you won't know what's broken and you can't really properly test it. That is a limitation. But I still think it's quite fascinating. So I'm going to take a break from jabbering here for a second, and I'm just going to show on my screen a capture of the modular synth running. There's going to be a patch playing. I should add, after the Doepfer, I told it to add a sequencer at the bottom that I based on a Doepfer dark time. I also told it to add an oscilloscope so you can see the waveform. And I also asked it to add a digital delay. So the patch I start with will be already patched up and playing a sequence. The sequencer output is quantized to notes in, I think, the minor pentatonic scale. And the one thing I'll do is I'll patch the LFO into the filter, and I'll mess with the LFO speed, and you should be able to hear the filter changing how it's filtering the sound in real time. So again, 4 hours of work using a standard computer. It's not even running Windows 11. I think I'm on Windows 10. My computer is 5 years old. I did not pay for Google Gemini. This is the free version that anybody can use. And in 4 hours, I made this. The first video I made, I had a shot after that one, and the audio keeps glitching, so I'm just shooting this on my phone. Sorry about that. Couple things briefly to say. Yeah, number one, if you don't know what a modular synth sounds like, you're not going to be able to test the output of the AI to see that all the functions actually work. So if you are a total beginner, this method may not work for you. On the other hand, if you know what a synth sounds like and what the knobs do, and maybe your first experiment is to upload a screenshot of a synth you own and then remake it in AI as a virtual version, at least you'll be able to twist the knobs on your own synth and test that it does the same thing or a very similar thing. The other thing I wanted to say was, yeah, why did I call this video A Cure for Gas? Well, I tried to cure my own gear acquisition syndrome earlier this year. I wanted to buy a synth called the Metal Fetishists, but I had no budget for it. So I just made a patch in my Nord Micro Modular based on the signal path diagram in the manual for that synth, which I found online. And that worked pretty well. I still don't own that particular synth. So I guess that was a way of avoiding gas, but you know, the final product is still not exactly like the one I wanted to buy. It's just one sound. And obviously there's a trade-off here. The good side of gas is you don't spend your own money and you get to build something and try out the functions for free. The downside is that the guy who built the Metal Fetishist didn't get any money off of me. And this, you know, there's pluses and minuses to everything. I'm not trying to drive little synth makers out of business. I love those guys. So I'm just trying to give people some options here, especially if, like me, you've never really used AI extensively, or vibe coding to do stuff like that. It had never occurred to me that I could upload a screenshot of a synth and it could just turn that into a working or semi-working instrument. The last thing I want to say, and I will wrap this up soon, is I thought about making a video of the whole 4-hour session where I told Gemini what to do, and then it spat out a prototype, and I said, you got this wrong, fix it, and it said, okay, I fixed it, and I said, no, you didn't, try again, this definitely doesn't affect the sound, or whatever. And it might be kind of boring because it would be 4 hours long, but if people thought it would be useful, they would be able to see my texts and the AI's replies. They'd be able to see the prototypes that it came back with and see the problems that came up. So if you think this would be interesting to you, leave a comment for me, and I'll, if I get a couple people who are interested, I'll probably do it. I might make it a part 2 to this one and upload the version you already saw in the earlier clip, and start from there and see if I can test every single function and fix it and make it, like right now, the bits you heard are what's working, but there's lots of things I haven't tested yet. So yeah, like I said, if you think that's interesting, leave a comment. I will make that video probably if a couple people want to see it. And yeah, if you hate AI, that's totally cool too. I'm not trying to get people to do anything they don't want to do. I'm going to keep on using hardware synths like this guy here to make my music. I just wanted to give people some options. And like I said, if it helps reduce your gas a little bit, especially if you're on a tight budget like me, that's a good thing. But I also think we should try and support those little synth maker dudes. So if you use this method and you think maybe the opposite will happen. Maybe you'll say, I tried to vibe code the hardware synth I wanted to buy and I couldn't get it to work, so I ended up buying it, and I did support the little synth company, and hey, that'd be a good outcome for him. So yeah, thanks for listening, and more similar videos like this, maybe not about AI, but me explaining my approach and my quote-unquote philosophy of making music. I hope that's more translatable. I hope those are ideas you can take and apply to your own life, see if they work for you, and if they don't work, you didn't lose much. Yeah, so expect more of this. Father Moo signing off with the Wobble Cam. Peace out.